Afternoon, good evening to members from all over the world. It's a great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the managing group to the GAF Annual Retreat. And for those of you wondering what retreat, this is just an online meeting. We're calling in a retreat because that's our fantasy. We wish that this was not just an online meeting, but a real retreat in a wonderful resort in Hawaii. And we've all come back from a nice walk on the beach, and we are now in this hall meeting and greeting each other and getting ready for a review of the year that was and the year that shall be. So for the next hour and a half, please pretend that you're in this Hawaiian beach resort for the annual GAF retreat, and hopefully someday, next year, the year after, that will be the reality of GAF. And I wouldn't be surprised at all, because the way in which we've grown in just 1 year, as you shall see from Ashok's review of the year that has gone by, this is perfectly valid. So for the next few seconds, please scan through the screen and look at all the wonderful, happy, cheery faces that you can see. These are all the members who have powered GAF through the past year, who will be empowering GAF through the next year, and who shall be a drinking companion the year after next, when we meet either in a beach on Hawaii or near the pyramids in Egypt, or if I get to host it, then in a tiger reserve in India, where we will spend the morning hunting for tigers and the day hunting for sperm. So, well, that is the GAF promise. And with this, I'm now going to turn you over to Professor Agarwal. I call him the nuclear powerhouse behind GAF. When he was director of the American Center for Reproductive Medicine at Cleveland Clinic, he took it to a premier position around the world. And now with the Global Andrology Retreat Forum, he is powering it to a unique position, converting GAF into the kind of andrological forum that has never been seen before. If you go through his biodata, that could take up half the 1.5 hours that we've planned for tonight. So I'll just tell you that he's the most published author in the field of andrology, amazingly committed to education and research. And I now invite him to take over and tell us what GAF has achieved, our incredible achievements, in fact, over the past 1 year. Over to you, Ashok.
Thank you very much, Rupin. Before I begin, I wanted to remember and pray for the victims of earthquake disaster. It's a major disaster that we are all witnessing. It is something which is so sad that our heart and prayer goes to the victims and to our family of Turkish andrologists and urologists and embryologists who are working with us. We are with you in this very difficult time, and you are in our thoughts every second. So please let us observe a moment of silence for this catastrophe that has affected so many everywhere in the world, but all our brothers and sisters in Turkey. Now, I begin. Good morning to each and every one of you. Welcome to the annual retreat. This is our first retreat that we have done. It is online, virtual, and as Rupin just said, that we hope to see you and many of you, hopefully, in various meetings during this year. And we are looking forward. So this obviously is not a substitute for a real meeting, and we hope to see you. These are our mission and vision. We'll come back to that. This is our first meeting, annual retreat. It's a short meeting. It is supposed to finish in 1.5 hours. And I wanted to share with you the membership of our group, which was started about 2 years ago. And this is what the numbers were at the end of last year, or 2022. You can see we have approximately 550 members. And majority of them are andrologists, urologists, embryologists, IVF specialists, researchers, large number of researchers, gynecologists, endocrinologists, and others who are interested in the field of andrology and sexual dysfunction. Let's go back in retrospect where we were about a year ago, and you can see that our numbers at the beginning of last year were 229, and this was the breakdown. We had 229, and then we grew within 1 year to 545. This is almost a 140% increase. We had only 157 urologists, but now we have so many more, as you saw, and all categories of specialists who have joined with us have increased tremendously, and we are very grateful for them. I wanted to share with you what is the level of experience of members who are with us. And in a survey that we had done of our members as they are joining, they are filling out the application. And we can see that majority of them have over 11 to 15 years of experience. And of course, we are also having younger people who are here. And this is the total number of cases. Then we have urologists, andrologists, and they are being broken according to the years of their experience. We also have asked them what is their interest in joining us, and majority of them on a scale on 1 to 10, the 10 being the highest interest, majority of them, if you look from 8 to 10, scoring of 8 to 10, almost 400 of them have expressed great interest in conducting research. This is our management team, and I want to thank each and every one of them. Rupin, Dr. Florence, who could not be here today, Dr. Ramadan, who is here with us, Dr. Taha, and then a lot of our guest advisors, Dr. Dama, Dr. Ahmed, Dr. Rosella, Dr. Gian Maria or Jimmy, Dr. Arafa, Dr. Fo, Dr. Kim, Dr. Israel, and Dr. Poncho. We have a large number of them, but this is not enough. We want to attract more and more members to come and help us in the management team. So this is something that we are asking people to come and send us an email that they are interested, and we'll share the experience required and what kind of the duties are there. And we very much want to double this number so that we can do the kinds of things that we are interested. We have 10 research teams that were constituted. Each one of them is headed by an expert, urologist, andrologist. And you can see those who are here, who are guiding a team of researchers who are conducting 10 different systematic review or meta-analysis at this time, all related to the pathophysiology of varicocele. This is ongoing, and some of them are have already started many parts of the study. These are long studies. And this is, again, the research projects that we are doing, which are listed here, and each one of them is guided by the 10 research team. So we asked of our members, if you are nominated to join a research team, what is the role you expect to play? And majority of them wanted to play a role as an active researcher, or as you can see. So this is mainly the interest of people who are working, and we are very happy that this is what they want to do. And these are the activities that our members said that they would like to be involved. They want to be involved in the writing of the manuscript, performing literature search, conducting meta-analysis. So this is really the mission of what we are doing. And this is really aligned with the interest of our members, all 550 of them. These are the skills that our members have. They have been graded, and this is their self-reported skills. And you can see a large number of them are having skills in editing or writing or giving talks. So we are trying to really match them according to that. And then these are their self-reported skills in terms of the medical statistics, their knowledge. And we will be doing some courses to enhance their knowledge in medical statistics, also preparing them on various things that are needed to write a scientific paper. And this is our training modules that is being conducted by Dr. Mohammed Arafa. We have, during the last 1 year, had several affiliation and collaboration. The biggest one is with the Society of International Urology, or SIU, where we have been accepted officially as an affiliated society. we are in talks with several other societies at this time to become a affiliate of those societies. But we have been doing several webinars and courses, masterclass, and several of them are going to be happening next month and year and month after. Some of them are organized by the Turkish Society of Urology and other societies, and you will be hearing about them very soon. So we are very proud. We have done a large number of these courses, done with all the societies that you are seeing here, and they are already on our website. These are the webinars that we have done. There are 6 different virtual meetings that we have done. And the way that we have done is so very different than most of the webinars that are done in the world. Our webinar have a purpose, there is an objective, and there is a goal, and then we have the results from those webinar. Each webinar is targeted to write state-of-the-art review or original article. So 13 original articles are being prepared or being published out of the webinars that we have conducted just in 1 year. And this is something incredible. And we want to congratulate each and every faculty who have been involved in this. And Dr. Rupin is going to explain about the concept of our webinar, what goes into our mind when we are planning. And we have coined the term called Medinar rather than webinar. And I know I don't want to be very showy about it, but you will, when you hear about it, you will understand. This is our program that we did in Indonesia, and you can see with the help of our colleague, Professor Poncho. He was also the leader, one of the member of our management team. And you can see we have 1,700 participants in one webinar from 81 countries. This is an incredible number. This is something that is something that we have never heard in the history. And this is the program that was shared. But more importantly, what is important is what is the knowledge acquisition. And we had pre and post multiple choice question. And if you can see the green bars, these are the results from of correct answers. The one on the left side are the ones which show that before the test, there were so few of them which were able to get high number of marks. But after the 2 or 3 hours of this test of education through this program, the results just zoom. This is incredible. There's a significant improvement in knowledge acquisition because of the webinar that was done in hundreds and hundreds of people who took this. And the same thing goes here. I mean, these are the things that we taught. These are some of our speakers who are being shown here. Dr. Arafa, before that was Dr. Jimmy, and then Dr. Ramadan. As you can see, he looks very serious. Well, he's a serious man. But then we have a lot of faculty who are also there, and they all collaborated in this type of discussion. This is Dr. Arafa again. And then we have this program that we did in December, just several weeks ago in Mexico City with our collaborator, Dr. Israel. And you can see again, this program, which is debates in andrology, handling 3 important controversial topics in andrology, attracted 1,500 participants from 103 countries. I've never heard of some of the countries. So can you imagine? I mean, without any kind of budget for advertisement, we are all volunteers. We are all volunteers. The Global Andrology Forum is a free organization. There is no fee. Anybody can join as long as they have an interest in andrology. And we have no paid staff. We have no funding. We have no sponsorship. So this is because without any kind of support. But this is the announcement, and look at the results. Again, the results are incredible. They speak for themselves, and you can see the results. You can see the results in the post-test. Again, the results are incredible. Our statistician must be thinking, oh, I didn't do this analysis, but we have this result. These are all our colleagues who are part of this webinar, and they are discussing the things, and Dr. Rupin is going to explain how this works. We are actually writing a paper on the mechanics of Medinar. for everyone around the world to follow our protocol and SOP that we have perfected. And these are all the images. And part of that, these are the problems that we had: varicocele repair in severe OAT. What do we do? And again, this is Dr. Christine who's talking. She's giving a talk. Dr. Arafa here again. And the outcome of this is what everybody wants to know. What is the outcome? I mean, you have worked a lot. We have a lot to show, and something which is incredible. And Dr. Rupin will tell, I think even the entire country will not have the productivity that we have in 12 months. In 12 months, even the whole world will not have a productivity what we have related to the work that we are doing in meta-analysis and advanced research. 19 articles just in 12 months, and 8 are already published in 2023. And this is the actual deliverable, what we have delivered: 19 articles, 6 webinars, several poster presentation. We have done several workshops, launch training in research methodology being championed by Dr. Arafa, and a lot of people are in the pipeline who are going to be trained, and launched 10 new SRMA. Now looking into the future, which will be actually the job of Dr. Rupin, but I just want you to tell, we have 13 original articles either published or in the process of being accepted. 67 book chapters. These are all authored by hundreds of people, hundreds of experts from the Global Andrology Forum. Every single author of these books that are being edited by all of us, Dr. Rupin, myself, Dr. Florence, Dr. Ramadan, Dr. Hassan Salam, Dr. Pangiotis. We invited exclusively everyone who is part of the Global Andrology Forum to participate in the writing. And we want to start some of the new projects very soon. So again, this is the plan. I think I repeated it here twice. We have 3 medical textbooks which are going to be finished in a month's time. We are editor of 2 special issues, and 26 ongoing manuscripts, 26 for 2023, in addition to all that have already been either published or not. So this is our productivity. Before I go, I just wanted to, Rupin, you want to just tell a little bit about it before I play?
I think you can go ahead, because everybody's talking of Chat GPT. So Ashok decided we can't be left behind, and it just asked Chat GPT, well, what's the future of the Global Andrology Forum? And this is what Ashok came up with.
So I was fascinated by Chat GPT, as many of you are, and I asked to give me a slogan, because we have so many slogans. Dr. Taha and others chose, there were like dozens of them. We could not decide. I said, let's ask the AI bot, and it came out with empowering men's health, shaping the future together. So I'm going to let it play by itself. Let me see.
As an AI language model, I do not have the ability to predict the future of specific organizations. However, the success and future of the Global Andrology Forum could depend on several factors, such as the continued relevance of its mission, its ability to adapt to changes in the field of andrology, and its ability to attract and retain members and support. It is important for organizations to continuously assess and evaluate their strategies to ensure they remain relevant and successful.
So this, let me go to the next. I will just read the other question that I asked. What is the future of andrology? Can you tell me in 100 words? So this is what the Chat GPT, which goes through trillions and trillions of data, it came out. Andrology is a branch of medicine that deals with the study of male reproductive health, is expected to witness significant advancement in the coming years. With the rise of male infertility, there has been an increased demand for more effective diagnostic and therapeutic methods. The development of new technologies such as ART and improved methods of sperm analysis are expected to revolutionize the field of andrology. In addition, advancements in genetics, epigenetics, and stem cell research are likely to further improve our understanding of male reproductive health. Furthermore, the increasing focus of men's health issues and the growing awareness of male infertility are expected to drive research and development in the field of andrology. Overall, the future of andrology holds a lot of promise and has the potential to greatly improve the lives of millions of men worldwide. This is not my words, friends. This is the word of Chat GPT. This is the future, at least from what we see now.
Andrology, the branch of medicine that deals with the study of male.
So I now hand it over to Dr. Rupin for the vision of the future. He is going to be looking into the crystal ball and telling us all the things that are going to happen in the next 11 months. So Rupin, up to you.
Thank you, Ashok. That was sneaky. You already had Chat GPT read out my entire talk, tell us about the future. So I might as well skip my talk and go on to the next session. But this was amazing. I mean, Ashok asked a question, and what popped out is something that any of us would, after much thought, put into our slides and our presentation. So what I will try and do in the next 10 minutes is give a little more form to the general future that was already predicted by ChatGPT. So if you look at the next slide, our primary goals of GAF have been to conduct high quality research, provide training in research methodology to younger uroandrologists and researchers who join us, and of course, knowledge dissemination. Now, this is something that has evolved over time. We started as just a small online group of researchers wondering what online combined research could we do in the field of varicocele. But before we knew it, we just grew into this vast organization with structured goals and objectives. What we've achieved in the past year, Ashok has already shown you very, very impressively. And I'm going to give you some concrete vision of the future for this year. Next slide. So if we take each of these, in the research projects that we have done and which we are going to continue into 2023, one are our systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Next slide. And some of you did ask, why are we doing systematic reviews and meta-analysis alone? Why don't we do original studies? Well, in the pyramid of evidence, an SRNA is truly the most important clinically relevant data that can be presented. So doing systematic reviews and meta-analysis of data is in fact fulfilling a major academic role. It also builds upon the strengths of GAF. To do a really good systematic review or a meta-analysis, you need a lot of researchers. Most studies have 4, 5, 6 people. We have 30 to 40 people working on a single paper at times, which allows us to look at all data and duplicate, have a third person screen it. We have a team of 4 statisticians who analyze the data to make sure that they are all in sync. We have a number of reviewers who will go over the entire paper again and again to ensure that what we're putting out is the most appropriately expressed conclusions. And therefore, the couple of meta-analysis that we have published in the past year, in fact, have been the largest ever under those topics that have been done. And therefore, in this year also, we intend to continue with some SRMs. It also gives us the opportunity to provide training to our newer researchers. Once they've completed the training program, they need an actual concrete study to wet their teeth upon to get their experience. And therefore also the SRM is important. And finally, it allows us to give authorship to a large number of our members, which is also one important part. So SRMs will continue in 2023. Next slide, please. The other major unique feature of our academic work has in fact been the global studies that we have done on clinical practices related to varicocele, sperm DNA fragmentation, and non-obstructive azoospermia in the past year. And what we found with these global surveys was that it gave us a very unique practical perspective on the topic, because very often what was being practiced around the globe was quite different from recommended societal guidelines and from even what is recommended in general systematic reviews, which then brings us up to very interesting discussions. Why this discrepancy? Is it that real life practice is different from the guidelines? Is it that global variations are not accounted for? Is it that the people are not receiving adequate information and therefore there's a deviation? So these global surveys have led, in fact, to very interesting papers where global practices have been compared to the recommendations from various societies and also the recommendations from systematic reviews. And we intend to continue at least one or two more interesting surveys in this year. Next slide. The other area has been opinion papers. Now we have some very well experienced, very senior members in GAF whose experience needs to be expressed as an opinion on important topics. And therefore, we've had several editorials and papers. Even before the new edition of the WHO manual came out, we had an editorial on the draft version, which was open for public commentary. After the sixth manual came out, we then had a couple of papers reflecting the opinions and the perspectives of very senior experienced members. We've had several papers where these opinions have been condensed into a future vision of andrology, the role of artificial intelligence, and a couple of other papers. And now we are working on one more area, again based on our very senior members who have pointed out how there are so many citation errors in papers that even GAF attempts to publish. And we've already written an editorial and are now working on a research paper that we hope will change the way in which research papers are written. So in this year, too, our opinion papers will continue. And this is where our senior members will be involved, and they will give their perspectives into the editorials that we write. Next slide. What is new in our research projects? Well, after a couple of years of focusing on male infertility, this year we are also going to now start doing research into male sexual dysfunction related topics. I know a lot of our members are very interested in this topic. So perk up, start scratching your heads and thinking of studies, projects that you would like to do in this field. Next slide, please. And the other big change is going to be related to clinical studies. Now, again, we've asked a lot of members for feedback on GAF. And one of the comments that was often made was, why don't we do clinical studies? Well, the nature of GAF is that it's online, it's virtual. We don't have a lab. So there are many kinds of clinical studies that we cannot do. But there are also clinical studies that we can do, next slide, which build upon the unique properties of GAF. So for example, if we need a study, a clinical study with global inputs, nobody could match what we can do. And just an idea, which I've been toying around for quite a while, what is the true global incidence of clinical varicoceles? Whether it is WHO or society guidelines or papers, everybody starts by quoting epidemiology, and the papers and studies which are quoted are old, are limited, are regional. What if GAF did a prospective clinical studies at 20 centers representing the whole globe, assessing the incidence of clinical mild varicocele, clinical severe varicocele, subclinical varicocele in infertile men? A clinical paper like that would become the most quoted paper in the epidemiology of varicoceles. Or studies where we need large multi-institutional studies. GAF could connect an interested member to 10, 20 major centers around the world to conduct a study that would have a reach that no other study had. So keeping this in mind, we would like to invite GAF members to think about new clinical studies that build upon the global presence of GAF and which we can conduct in an online manner with people providing data from their centers. The leader will be in charge. You will have the task of creating the study, of planning it, choosing the members, supervising the conduct of the study, writing the paper, deciding the journal it goes into, and GAF will help provide supervision. We will review the proposal, ensure that it is the best possible study approach. We will help connect you with GAF researchers who are interested in that topic and who have been trained in research methodology. We will provide statistical supervision as well as analysis, and help review the manuscript so that the study is the best possible in that field. Next slide. One other big change that we hope to make in 2023 is moving from top down to bottom up. And before you start wondering what position is top down and bottom up, well, so far our projects have been top down. The GAF management talked, discussed, selected the topics, invited the members, created the format, and then invited the research and also supervising the study. Now, I had to start this way because otherwise it would have been unstructured, unsupervised, and it would have gone out of hand. But now that we have a number of well-trained team leaders, co-leaders, and a large number of researchers, it's time for us to move into the next phase of GAF, which will be bottoms up, so that it will not be a concept driven from a handful of management people, but instead we invite members to come up with projects, to submit it to GAF, and after we give our constructive criticism, it will be these members who will be fully in charge of the project. With this bottoms-up approach, we expect that a lot more members will assume leadership roles and help create many, many studies going on with select teams. And these leaders will be the first author on the study. Their co-leaders will be the second and third authors. The team members will be the subsequent authors. And there may be a few authors from the GAF group who have helped structure the paper. Next slide. Now, the other objective, the second one was training. And this is something that initially was very informal when we started doing our first systematic reviews on varicocele. But soon we realized, next slide, that we have a large number of young members who are very interested in gaining the correct research skills. And we as GAF had an objective to create a whole generation of high quality researchers. And therefore, slowly we have structured a research training program with clearly defined objectives. Next slide. And in 2023, under the guidance of Mohammad Arafa with Sezgin and Tan assisting him, we hope to create a formal structure, an SOP of how this training should happen. We will create standardized modules that can be repeated over groups. We will have a series of MCQs that will test performance before and after each training session. So in other words, we will have a clear training approach so that anybody coming in for training will be properly and completely trained with the methodology that has been approved by a number of senior members of GAF. And lastly, we've introduced the concept of guest lectures. Next slide. So just a few weeks ago, we had our first guest lecture with Professor Shokir talking on study design and Professor Zodi talking in SRMA review. Very, very well attended. Almost half the members registered. A fair number of them took the pre and post test. The talks were excellent. We've had demands for many, many more such talks. And what was amazing was that pre-lecture, only 11% passed the pre-test. But after the lectures, 74% achieved a score of more than 75%. So this just proves the value and the acceptance of these guest lectures. And here I would like to invite our senior GAF members, many of you who have already conducted lectures in training methodology, who are perhaps on the teaching programs in your institutes, to please write to us offering the topics on which you could conduct a lecture in training and in research methodology, which we can then schedule once every 2 to 3 months with a pre-test, post-test, so that the members can really benefit from it. Next slide. And finally, knowledge dissemination. This has been, of course, a major goal. Next slide. Ashok already told you about our medical webinars, the Medinars, which have been amazingly successful. We've written books, editorials, papers, special issues, all of which have already been covered. 2 changes that we expect in 2023. One will be an increase in the in-person meetings. Because of our official affiliation with the SIU, this year in their annual meeting at Istanbul, we will be conducting 2 2-hour workshops and 1 4-hour masterclass. So that's 8 hours of andrology being conducted by GAF in person at the SIU. And with affiliations with other societies, we can expect many more such in-person meetings. So this is going to be one more dimension to GAF. And those of you who have the ability to travel, the willingness to travel, and who are good speakers can certainly write to us, express your interest, and more GAF members could be involved in meetings in person around the world. We also hope to make our website more interesting by including more active discussions. One thought was that perhaps we'll have a topic of the month where 2 or 3 experts will put forth their opinion, and then all the other members can jump in with their opinion, their experience, their question, so that every month or 2 months we have one topic thrashed threadbare to the benefit of everyone. Next slide, please. So just to talk about our Medinars, they've been uniquely structured. Webinars have been held by all societies, and basically there are 2 or 3 speakers who talk, and there's a question-answer session. We've tried to make these far more clinically relevant and involve a lot more people. So first of all, the topics that we select are clinically relevant and controversial or very, very topical. And then what we do is we try to involve another 20, 30, 40 GAF members with the invitation to ask questions, post comments, do other things, thereby which it becomes possible for them to create a whole body of knowledge that then gets converted into the manuscripts that we have spoken about. Next slide. So finally, 2 question marks. And these are boxes that we're looking for our GAF members to fill. So tell us, please write to us about what else you think we can do to increase knowledge dissemination. Next slide. So I thank all of you for your very, very active participation in GAF. From the management team and the guest advisor team, we wish you a very productive, very satisfying, enlightening year with 2023. Next slide. And I only wish we could have included all 550 members in this picture, but well, this is symbolic of all of you. GAF is really all of you, all of us together. As Ashok said, it's non-profit. There's nothing that anybody gains other than academic knowledge and the friendship that you form in your team, in your interaction, in the paper that you write, and hopefully in the in-person meetings that will take place. Next slide. So with this now, we move on to the next phase of our meeting. And we thought that we would actually like a lot of members to speak, but obviously with 500 members, that is not possible. So we've selected 6 members who represent various aspects of GAF. Very senior, very junior, clinicians, researchers. And we've asked them to speak for a few minutes, 3 minutes really, about what GAF meant to them. And I would like to start with a very, very senior andrologist, Professor Giovanni Colpai, who of course is well known to everyone here. He was previously the former head of the Androurology Department, University of Milan, San Paolo Hospital. He's now the head of the Andrology Unit and Scientific Director of Procrea. He's been on the guidelines committee of many, many societies, and we have a recorded message from him about what GAF has meant to him.
Dear Rupin and Ashok, dear members, my warm greetings to all of you. I met Ashok Agarwal 30 years ago in Boston, Harvard Medical School, and a few times afterwards. The highlight came last year when he honored me by organizing the biology session at the Lugano Congress, with great success. In that period, my collaboration with the GAF strengthened. The formula proved to be successful. A no-borders andrology, according to the fitting definition of Francois Boitrel, regardless of ethnicity, language, religion, politics, like is true science. A group of specialists yearning to perform serious collaborative research. Alas, now I am a senior of andrology. I obtained my honor in my long career. I directed the most important andrology and IVF department in Italy for severe male infertility. I presented lectures at international congresses. I have authorized papers. After leaving the public sector, my career continues in a private institution in Switzerland, far from the new Italian generation, rightly asking for recognition at the expense of the old guard. The GAF is an immersive experience, like a new love, and opens many doors. It helped me intensify international contacts. It offered me the acquaintance with new prominent colleagues. It gave me a role in some research respecting my time and my expertise limits. It is an adventure, involving emotionally and keeping me alive in the scientific world, here and now. GAF allows me to keep learning, because no one ever stops learning, and it offers me the opportunity to pass on my knowledge, refined by my long clinical experience, to my younger colleagues. The transmission of expert knowledge is the apotheosis of medical science. It is a gift which, like many gifts, gratifies the giver much more than the recipient. This is my true feeling. Maybe also some GAF colleagues retired from their institution share my thoughts. Today the GAF is much more than an international scientific society. It educates young people to scientific research. It produces an intense activity through reviews or meta-analysis in a new way, plans innovative surveys of how members deal with particular pathologies, organizes international congresses and webinars with a new formula. Its audience is huge, spread all over the world, and is constantly growing. May I foresee the GAF future? It might become soon a top-level scientific society. It could issue guidelines resulting from the senior members' experience. Today, the problem of fundraising is opening up for the GAF, but imagination and perspicacity are abundant among our members. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Professor Kolpe, for that very encouraging comment on GAF. And yes, it's been our pleasure too to meet you and many, many senior andrologists like you through GAF. And for that, we have to thank Ashok, who has contacts all around the world. And it is his goodwill that has brought so many senior people who have nothing more to really gain academically, but he's brought them into the fold, and we have the opportunity to benefit from their experience. The next GAF member we invited to speak would be bringing a different perspective. Dr. Amarnath Rambhatia is Director of Men's Health and the Program Director for the Andrology Fellowship at the Henry Ford Health System in Detroit, Michigan. So he brings the perspective of a very busy clinician. What does a busy clinician who hardly has time for anything have to gain from GAF, and how is it that he is still so active in the numerous research projects that we conduct? So again, being a busy clinician, he's actually operating right now, but we have a recording from him.
Dear fellow GAF members, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I wish I could be there live for the virtual meeting with all of you today, but unfortunately, I'm on call for the hospital. I want to thank Drs. Ashok Agarwal and Rupen Shah for inviting me to share my thoughts. I've been a GAF member for the past 2.5 years, and I've come to realize that it is the perfect organization for a busy clinician to further their academic involvement. A research infrastructure is needed to produce high-quality research, and the GAF leaders and management team have done a wonderful job in setting up a research infrastructure as well as research training and putting together a forum where we can conduct meaningful studies with large sample sizes, which are quickly becoming the gold standard in andrology. By participating in research activities with GAF, it allows me to stay up to date with the latest research in the field, which in turn allows me to practice evidence-based medicine when treating my patients. It also gives me the chance to connect with colleagues both for research endeavors as well as when I have a tough clinical scenario to discuss. Through research, I'm able to contribute back to the field of urology and andrology, and this is why I find it so valuable to be a GAF member. I hope to see all of you soon. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Amar, for, again, that very interesting perspective. It's always very encouraging to know that even for a busy clinician, GAF has much to offer. We'll now go to the other end of the spectrum and invite Dr. Imad Zizou, who is a junior member of GAF. He's got his PhD in 2018. He's an associate professor in the Faculty of Medicine in Morocco, and he will be the voice of many of the younger GAF members who are just starting out in practice, learning the tools of research, and who are finding GAF to make a valuable contribution to their academic career. So Imad, it's over to you.
Thank you, Professor Rupin, Professor Agarwal. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Really, I feel lucky to be a member of the Global Andrology Forum. Surely my story is short, but I find it very rich and satisfying with the GAF. Many thanks to all the experts for their support, Professor Agarwal, Professor Watrell, Dr. Rosella, and Professor Rupin, and all the experts in the management team, and all the colleagues from all over the world. I joined the GAF in January 2022, and I started the training steps with Dr. Rosella. Then I had the honor to work with her in Team 3 as researcher, and I am very grateful for all what I learned in Team 3. Few months later, July 12 exactly, I was contacted by the #1 of andrology in the world, who is, of course, Professor Agarwal. He informed me about my promotion to leader of Team 9. I was very happy, of course, but I felt the big duty, the responsibility, the engagement, and the discipline I have to show because of the GAF value standards are very high. Then we had the opportunity to build the Team 9. We began with the training process for new members who are actually very active and motivated. And also I'm very lucky to have Dr. Moutawiya from Egypt and also Dr. Ghirabi from Algeria, who are very helpful and making a great job. In Team 9, like other teams in the GAF, we work hard, collaborate. We are determined and engaged in order to produce high quality research. The future of the GAF, I can see it, no limits of success. And I am just happy to be in this excellent group under the leadership of Professor Agarwal and all the management team experts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Imad. You're one of our rising stars. It's always a pleasure to work with you on any of the projects because we know that the work will be perfect and before time. And I hope that many of the younger members will emulate your example and continue to make GAF grow. So we move back again to a different perspective, this time from the lab. And our next speaker is Dr. Evi Wogiatsi, who is a very senior and highly reputed clinical geneticist and clinical embryologist. She was earlier the assistant head of embryology and andrology lab at the Atticon University and is currently the founder director of Andromede Health and Reproduction Fertility Diagnostic Center. So she brings the perspective from the lab side and again from a very senior side and she's been a member of GAF since the very beginning. Over to Dr. Evie.
First of all, I would like to greet all colleagues and friends and to thank Professor Agarwal and the management team, Dr. Rupin, Dr. Florence, Dr. Ramadan, and all others for their honorary invitation to speak about the Global Andrology Forum and my experience firsthand. I had the luck to collaborate with some of the founding members beforehand and have witnessed the realization and accomplishment of a truly groundbreaking initiative to a living and evolving organism that comprises over 500 specialists from across the globe. Andrology is a rapidly transforming field with the aid of new technologies and the continuous flow of new information from primary research. Thus, we are only now realizing how complex and multiparametric male fertility is and the magnitude of its impact in reproduction. In the same time, there is an increasing need to evaluate and disseminate all this information and an urgent need to implement new knowledge into clinical practice so as to preserve fertility and prevent, diagnose, and treat infertility with the utmost precision and efficiency. This is where the Global Andrology Forum stands, as it invests in primary quality research, in high-quality systematic reviews to disseminate the important outcomes, and evidence-based guidelines to help implement these findings into the clinical setting. For the younger members, this is an excellent opportunity to learn and to specialize in andrology, but also to train on research disciplines, to distinguish qualitative science over the continuous emergence of publications, to connect and cooperate with many distinguished members in the field and worldwide. For the seniors members, this is an outstanding opportunity to reach out to different disciplines and engage with other academic backgrounds, enrich our clinical approaches to exchange knowledge and experience, which are the true essence of scientific evolution. Through this forum, I had the honor and the privilege to cooperate with many top field specialists that broadened my perspectives in andrology. Together, we produced qualitative material that will persist over time, from male fertility management guidelines to straightforward laboratory protocols that encapsulated everything that is imperatively needed in clinical practice. I foresee a great future for this wonderful global expert collaboration that has already demonstrated an outstanding power, the power of many, the power of teams. Congratulations to Professor Agarwal for his ideas and to everybody for the materialization of this conception and for heartfully contributing towards the improvement of male reproductive health management. Thank you.
Thank you, Evie. I think you've given us one more new motto: the power of many and the power of teams. It's always a pleasure to interact with Evie. She brings new perspectives to any study that we're planning, to any paper that we're writing. And after we now move on again to the other end of the spectrum to a junior doctor from Jordan who is aspiring to be a urologist in the USA. This is Dr. Ala Farouk, who represents again a unique aspect of GAF, a young doctor who has already joined a large number of research projects and has already been the author of a large number of papers and has just concluded the very, very successful global survey on sperm DNA fragmentation and has written 3 papers from this study. So Ala, it's over to you to discuss what an organization like GAF means for younger researchers like you who wish to move ahead in their academic career.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Agarwal and Dr. Shah for giving me this opportunity to speak today and to share my experience with the Global Andrology Forum with all of you. To give a small background, I graduated from the University of Jordan Medical School in 2019. And even from before I graduated, I knew I wanted to pursue urology as a career. So I started to look for research opportunities, but at that time it became very difficult and more challenging because of the COVID pandemic. And this is when I reached out to Dr. Agarwal. I was very fortunate to join his team as a virtual researcher. And back then, when I started with Dr. Agarwal, I did not have much experience with research. So I started to receive the training that they had given to their summer research students. And these helped me a lot, develop my critical thinking skills, my writing skills, and presentation skills. And over the past 2 years, I was also fortunate to receive training in conducting systematic reviews and meta-analyses, as well as training on the quality assessment of articles. And all of this has allowed me to work on many projects with GAF, including book chapters, systematic and narrative reviews, original research, and leading up to the biggest project I have worked on, which, as mentioned by Dr. Rupin, the Global SDF Survey. And speaking of the survey, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for your help and support with this project, whether it is by taking the survey or by giving your insightful feedback, your thorough reviews, or by helping us reference check or do the scientific editing. Thank you very much for making this project a success. And my work with the Global Andrology Forum has helped me a lot as a researcher. It has brought me closer to my goal of becoming a urologist. I have recently moved to the USA, joining the Department of Urology at Loma Linda University as a researcher, and I continue to hope to develop and pursue my career. And I would like to end with a very special thank you to Dr. Agarwal for his continuous mentorship and his guidance. He has always supported me. He has constantly driven me to achieve my best. And it is with his leadership and his dedication to research, his dedication to teamwork, that I was able to work with leading scientists and leading experts and collaborate with amazing team members who I consider everyone a mentor to me. I know there is so much more to learn and so much more to contribute, and I look forward to the future of the Global Andrology Forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ala, and I can assure all of you that it's a delight working with Ala. I mean, he's so sharp, he could have written the entire STF papers all by himself. So we thank him for giving us a chance to participate. So, and actually his experience should encourage a lot of our younger members. Like, if you have the drive and the will and the determination that he showed, you could really further your academic credentials through the opportunities that GAF would offer. Finally, we'd like to end again with a very senior perspective, this time from Southeast Asia, and we have Professor Ponko Birovo, who is a very, very well-known and respected figure in his country and in the whole region. He's Professor of Urology from the Faculty of Medicine, University of Indonesia. He's a very well-respected senior andrologist, and he's been responsible for bringing many of his colleagues into GAF and for helping with many of our projects. So we will hear from him a unique perspective of what an international collaboration like GAF could offer to uro-andrologists in his region. Professor Bonko.
Thank you, Professor Rupin. Good morning to all colleagues. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our colleagues or GAFian, if Dr. Rupin may say, from all over the world. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Rupin for the nice introduction and Professor Ashok Agarwal for the wonderful opportunity to represent the voice of Southeast Asia colleagues in this annual members meeting. From my perspective, I would like to consider also as a young urologist. Joining GAF has been given us a lot of benefits in creating a connection with many seniors and junior members who are passionate about andrology. In Southeast Asia, it is our opportunity to create an international collaboration, and even is not as much as from the other continents like Europe or America countries. However, with the collaboration with GAF, it is possible to happen just like our Indonesian webinar under supervision of our President, Dr. Duarsa, that was held on November 2022. We are successfully engaging more than 1,700 participants from 81 countries. It became one of the prestigious achievements in our society, not only to promote Indonesia's name, but also andrology in global scientific events. We are also proud that among of many GAF events, such as meeting or Mexico meetings, the highest number of participants mostly come from Indonesia. The eagerness of our colleagues to learn about andrology is uncontested. The significant new knowledge gained during the meeting will improve patient care and andrological services in Indonesia. The collaboration with the GAF also allows us to continue, such as future invitation of GAF experts for the national or international event organized by our society. It goes the same with the global research. My colleagues from Indonesia, either junior or senior, learn a distinct and very special experience of conducting international level research and acting professionally toward it. Professor Agarwal and Dr. Rupinsa and all the senior members of GAF management team have been very dedicated to guiding us to a right and clear SOP for research. With this effort, I believe the contribution of our Southeast Asia colleagues will surge significantly in terms of andrological publication. GAF opens the opportunity of many of our colleagues to an unprecedented horizon of international scientific collaboration. To sum up, joining GAF and creating collaboration with GAF is one of the best decisions that my society and I has made. I'm very thankful for all of our effort by Professor Agarwal and Dr. Rupin and all the senior members for creating this forum and making it this far. We can create a better future for andrology and gather even more members to join GAF. Like John Maxwell said, teamwork makes a dream work. With our grit, dedication, and teamwork, a clinical scientist, the future of andrology is ours. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you back to Dr. Rupin. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. You gave us one more motto: teamwork can make our dreams work. Wonderful. And we're so happy when you say that this was the best decision that your society could make to participate and join with GAF. And that's the kind of, well, praise, acknowledgement that makes all the effort of GAF seem worthwhile. Now, since this is a retreat, every retreat needs to have a special lecture that has nothing to do with the scientific content, but which really enriches everyone who's attending. And we have Kim Lee, who Ashok considers one of the smartest, cleverest women that he has known, and who really brings unique perspectives to different aspects of life. And we're going to hear from her something about Mungerism, and the title itself should tickle your curiosity and make sure that you don't leave your computer screens for the next half an hour. So Kim, of course, is multi-talented. She has a doctorate in medicine, a master's in public health, a master's in business administration. She's a life coach, an academic coach, and also a member of the GAF team. So it's over to Mungerism and all that it involves.
To all the GAF members, I'm sorry I could not be available to attend this meeting as I had already had other plans, but I'm so happy to be able to present a topic that I've called Mungerisms and More, a compass for navigating your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. And I hope you'll find it as enlightening and transformative as I have. So let's begin. So what are Mungerisms? Let's start with what is an aphorism. So an aphorism is a short, clever saying that is intended to express a general truth. It can be a clever saying, a concise statement of principle, an adage, a quote, a proverb, maxim, or even a statement. And Charlie Munger is currently a 99-year-old man from Omaha, Nebraska, where he used to live less than a mile from Warren Buffett. And they've been friends for over 6 decades. And he's known as Buffett's right-hand man and the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway. He has a non-traditional career path that involves dropping out of college and never receiving an undergraduate degree. And when he applied to Harvard Law School, was initially denied admission before he was accepted. Warren Buffett and Bill Gates often quips about how much smarter Munger is than they are. And Warren is known as the unsurpassed straight man, while Munger is known as the big picture guy in the context of everything that has ever happened on planet Earth and elsewhere. Munger is fiercely independent. His witty quotes and pithy comments have come to be known as Mungerisms. So why should you care? Know that your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes drive your behavior and actions that essentially lead to some combination of good and bad habits that impact your personal, work, and social life. So let's explore some Mungerisms. To begin, please use your phone to scan this QR code and join our WhatsApp chat group called Mungering in GAF. Liliana and Dr. Agarwal also have the link and can share it here or in the GAF forum. We'll be using it during this talk and throughout the following week to share your own aphorisms that you live by. So let's get started. So on the merits of specialization as opposed to generalization, Charlie Munger states that, quote, "Well, I think the great strategy for the great mass of humanity is to specialize. Nobody wants to go to a doctor that's half proctologist and half dentist," end quote. Here, Mr. Munger suggests that most people should learn to specialize rather than acquire generalized knowledge. He believes that knowing one thing really well will give you a competitive edge at some point in your life, and it's what the world rewards. It's the safe way to become successful, if you will. So the irony of this Mungerism is that he himself is a self-proclaimed generalist. He's a billionaire investor, businessman, philanthropist, and a former real estate attorney. Furthermore, Munger never took a single course in economics, business, marketing, finance, psychology, or accounting, and managed to become one of the greatest, most admired, and most honorable businessmen of our age. And also note that Warren Buffett himself is also a generalist. So let's look at some opposing view to this premise of this Mungerism. In the book Range by Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World, written by David Epstein, he compares people who received a career-focused versus people who received a broad-focused education. And he shares evidence that show that those in the career-focused education are more likely to be hired right out of college and make money right away, but are less adaptable in a changing working world. They win short-term, but they lose in the long run. But people who dabble in many areas to explore their interests and end up developing a broader focused education are able to integrate more broadly because they have more interdisciplinary knowledge to pull from. They have better overall perspective and can perform second-order thinking at a wider range of situations than the specialist. So according to the author David Epstein, generalists, number one, surpass specialists later on, even if they start slower. They flex different muscles. They sample their interests and find the right fit, which is what economists call match quality, which means the degree of fit between the work someone does and who they are, their abilities and proclivities. Number four, they have a better toolbox for problem solving. They have better focus on their narrative and can be stronger applicants. And six, they adapt better because of a broader set of skills. But certainly there are pros and cons for being a specialist or a generalist. They're not mutually exclusive, so an individual can be both. Now it's your turn to reflect and ponder the following. Number one, do you consider yourself a generalist or specialist? Number two, does it currently fit your preferred lifestyle? Number three, if you are early in your career, would you consider becoming more of a generalist or specialist? Why or why not? And lastly, if you're in the later phase of your career, have you always been a generalist or a specialist? Or has it changed from one to the other? Why do you think it happened that way? So please respond in the WhatsApp chat group, Mungering in GAF. And once you respond, please reply to others in the chat. And while you do that, I'll move on to the next Mungerism. So the next three Mungerisms is on learning. Charlie Munger stated that, quote, acquiring wisdom is a moral duty as well as a practical one. He believed that education is required for both self-cultivation and for achieving social order. Here, Munger states that, quote, without lifetime learning, you people are not going to do very well. You're not going to get very far in life based on what you already know. You're going to have to advance in life by what you learn after you leave here, end quote. And the third one, he states, quote, the best thing a human being can do is to help another human being know more, end quote. All three of these Mungerisms are straightforward and don't really require further explanation, but he clearly suggests that we should all be lifelong learners. I'm pretty sure that many of you here believe in learning as a lifelong activity, so we'll move on to our moment of reflection and the sharing of our thoughts. So please take a moment to consider the following questions. Number one, what are you doing to grow your brain? Number two, what are you doing to help others know more? So please respond in the WhatsApp chat group, Munger and GAF, and once you respond, please reply to the others in the chat. I'll give you a moment before we move on. Moving on. So on the topic of competency, Charlie Munger popularized the circle of competence mental model. It's a simple one. So if you look at the circle here in the image to the left, there's a circle within a circle. The inner circle represents what you know. Basically, it's where your competency lies. And the outer circle represents what you think you know. He quotes, people are trying to be smart, and all I'm trying to do is to not be idiotic. But that's harder than most people think, end quote. So for Munger, avoiding stupidity is so much easier than seeking brilliance, and the ability to acknowledge what you don't know is a reflection of wisdom. Instead, he consistently tries to not be stupid, which apparently requires a lot of effort for him. So, identify your circle of competence and use your knowledge when possible to stay away from things you don't understand, because there are no points for difficulty at work or in life. Munger always says that one should play within their own circle of competence. To play in the outer circle, you need to do one of several things. There's three of them. First, learn more to expand your circle of competence. 2, to pass it on to someone else. Or 3, to outsource. So let's think about this quote for a moment and how it relates to your approach. Okay, so I want you to be honest here. So tell me, number 1, in the past, have you been trying to be smarter or less idiotic? And number 2, what are some ways we could be less idiotic? So here are some thoughts on how to be less idiotic. Read more fiction books, nonfiction books. Ask others for help. Respond with, I don't know if I do not know the answer. Imagine worst case scenarios. Think in possibilities, not uncertainties. Stay humble. Be willing to change your mind if presented with new evidence. Consider what if scenarios. Use checklists. Reflect and debrief. So can you think of other ways to be less idiotic? Please respond in the WhatsApp group chat, Munger and GAF, and once you respond, please reply to others in the chat. And I'll give you a minute here. Moving on. So on falsification, this is my favorite quote for this group. Quote, the human mind is a lot like the human egg, and the human egg has a shutoff device. When one sperm gets in, it shuts down so the next one can't get in, end quote. So basically what he's saying is that we as humans have a tendency towards confirmation bias. And confirmation bias is believing in information that supports our own beliefs. Once our mind has developed a certain set of beliefs and truths, it becomes a framework for all the information to follow. For example, if you believe that a person with a tattoo is irresponsible, you'll subconsciously reject them for the job before they even have a chance to prove their competence. So this can result in what's called cognitive rigidity, and you'll be unable to mentally adapt to new demands or information as a result. So the important lesson here is don't be a human egg. Be mindful of the possibility of your own subconscious cognitive biases. On that note, I have one last Mungerism. So on the topic of mastery, Charlie Munger states, quote, I believe in the discipline of mastering the best that other people have figured out. I don't believe in just sitting down and trying to dream it all up yourself. Nobody's that smart, end quote. So this Mungerism inspired him to collect mental models to use as a framework for his various experiences to help him learn to think better. So now he's developed a cult following, and I'll introduce mental models here because it deserves its own discussion, maybe at a future time. So mental models are a representation of how something works and is used to simplify the complex into understandable and organizable chunks. The more mental models a person has, the bigger their toolbox to see a more accurate view of reality and understand reality better. The result is better decision-making on a variety of important issues that matter to you. So it was inspired by Charlie Munger when he stated, quote, well, the first rule is that you can't really know anything if you just remember isolated facts and try and bang them back. If the facts don't hang together on a latticework of theory, you don't have them in a usable form. You've got to have models in your head, and you've got to array your experience, both vicarious and direct, on this latticework of models. You may have noticed students who just try to remember and pound back what is remembered. Well, they fail in school and in life. You've got to hang experience on a latticework of models in your head. So collecting mental models is actually a lifelong project. Some examples of models include the circle of competence, velocity, and seeing the front. So we've already addressed the circle of competence. So let's talk about velocity and seeing the front. Velocity, as you know, is a combination of speed plus vector. How fast something gets somewhere, right? So as an object that moves 2 steps forward and then 2 steps back has moved at a certain speed but shows no velocity. So the summation of the vector, that critical distinction, is what should be considered in our practical life. Second is seeing the front. One of the most valuable military tactics is the habit of personally seeing the front before making decisions, not always relying on advisors, maps, and reports, all of which can either be faulty or biased. Leaders of any organization can generally benefit from seeing the front, not only does it provide firsthand information, but it also tends to improve the quality of secondhand information. So each of us has our own set of mental models, whether or not we realize it. So I encourage you to become more intentional about what is in your mental toolbox. So let's do an exercise. It's your turn to share, number 1, what your top 2 to 3 mental models are. 2, what are some mental models that can be used to positively impact GAF? So please respond in the WhatsApp chat group Mungering in GAF. And once you respond, please reply to others in the chat. Well, now here, I'll give you a minute. So Charlie Munger's wildly huge success was partly attributed to his high experiential intelligence, or what we call XQ, as well as his high academic intelligence, which is IQ, and social emotional intelligence, known as EQ. He has lived through the Great Depression between 1929 and 1939, as well as the Great Recession of 2007 and 2009. And these events have shaped his beliefs, thoughts, and attitudes in significant ways to help him become the billionaire in the field of finance. Experiential intelligence is defined as a measure of how past life experiences shape a person. It was initially coined by Robert Sternberg, the president of the American Psychological Association, and it was part of his triarchic theory of intelligence. But today, it has been expanded by Soren Kaplan. And according to Kaplan, your experiences shape your mindset, abilities, and know-hows. It also influences how you think, develops your knowledge and skills, and helps you navigate tactical things. It also prepares you for higher order abilities like living with uncertainty and pattern recognition. And lastly, it bridges how you think with what you know how to do. So understanding experiential intelligence is important because your past experiences impact your current successes and future opportunities. So let's look at an overview of experiential intelligence. So it's made up of mindsets, abilities, and know-how. They are unrealized assets developed from your past experience, both good and bad. So let's start with mindsets. Your attitudes and beliefs about yourself, other people, and the world. These attitudes and beliefs can either get in your way or propel you forward. When you fully tap into your experiential intelligence, you're able to uncover the self-limiting beliefs that you hold. Then there's the second portion, the abilities. Your competencies that help you integrate your knowledge, skills, and experiences so you can respond to situations in the most effective way possible. Abilities are specific competencies that bridge your mindsets with your know-how. Your abilities represent a broader approach to how you do what you do, so you can apply what you know how to do in different contexts. Your mindsets guide what you see as possible and as desirable, which influences where and how you decide to apply your abilities. And the last portion is the know-how, or the knowledge and skills. This includes both formal education and implicit knowledge that is learned through practice or performing. So you grow your experiential intelligence in 3 ways. Number 1, by either reinventing your attitudes and beliefs or the mindsets. Number 2, by enhancing your abilities, that second component. Or lastly, by building your knowledge and skills, or your know-how. By going deeper into your mindsets is the most powerful thing you can do to drive significant change and breakthroughs. And it can be a springboard to transformation at multiple levels: personal, team, and organizational. So next is the most important reflection. You can use this set of questions regularly to update and take inventory of your mental toolbox. And you can add the abilities you have uncovered from your experiences to your resume. So by taking an inventory of any meaningful experiences, it helps you, number 1, become more self-aware of your strengths and weaknesses. 2, be able to articulate how specific experiences qualify you for a particular job position. And 3, add the skills and know-hows to your resume. So I'll give you a moment to think about these questions, which include: number 1, what are the top most impactful events in your life? Number 2, what beliefs, positive and negative, did you internalize from each of these events? Number 3, what abilities have you developed as a result of each of those beliefs? And 4, what are you capable of achieving with these abilities? So this is going to take a little bit more than a minute or 2 to think about and to respond. When you have a moment this week, please go through this again and respond in the WhatsApp chat group, Mongering and GAF. And once you respond, please reply to others in the chat. You can also share your mental toolbox with GAF members on the WhatsApp group chat. Now I'll conclude with some takeaways. Number 1, be a sponge and not a brick, so be open to new ideas. Number 2 is to strengthen your meta consciousness, to think about how you're thinking. And number 3, hang your experiences on the scaffold of mental models. Number 4 is to use a compass made of mental models, plus your experiences, your Mungerisms, and your isms to guide your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. And lastly, please join the WhatsApp chat group, Mongering GAF, and discuss your thoughts to help build a community and learn from one another. So maybe have you developed Munger mental madness from this talk yet? Thank you for your time and attention. If you have any questions or want to reach me personally for a conversation, you can do so using the WhatsApp to call or text, or you can even send me an email. Have a great weekend and see you in the chat.
Well, there might be some who will hunger for more munger, but it was a wonderful talk. And with that, we move on to the final conclusion, and I hand you back to Ashok.
Thank you very much, Kim, for a thought-provoking lecture. You really came out with something that will keep us busy thinking, and you gave us this WhatsApp group where we can share our thinking and our thoughts. So what a wonderful way of doing it, and thank you very much. It was something very special, and I really want to thank Kim, who worked very hard to come up with this topic and put together a presentation which is just excellent. It will take some time for us to absorb the deep meanings of the things that she talked today with all of us. So we are coming to the end, but it is not the end. So please stick around. We have some more interesting thing towards the end. So please hold off before you signing off. We are close. So now we just want to talk about the mission. I don't want to read the whole thing. This is the mission of our group called Global Andrology Forum, is to conduct the highest quality research on controversial topics in male infertility and sexual dysfunction. It is really our mission is to provide the best available research and clinical evidence to enhance evidence-based practices in male reproductive and sexual health care. Our vision is to create a global collaboration of clinicians and researchers to promote scientific excellence in the field of andrology, which we are attempting to do in a humble way. The GAF aspires to reshape the future of andrology by bringing together the most passionate, talented, experienced, and hardworking researchers and clinicians from all over the world. We need members who are committed, who are ready to share their knowledge, those who are senior, who have the experience. We need you. We need you to come to our fold, to train and to share your knowledge with those who are who have not the experience, are not fortunate to have that. We want you to share that, and this is the greatest gift that you can give to all of us around the world. We want you to join. If you have a friend, a colleague who you think will benefit, ask them to go to our website called Global Andrology Forum, www.globalandrologyforum, and they can apply to become a member. There is no fee. There is a simple global Google form that they have to fill, and then we'll welcome them. Those who fit into our profile of learning will be welcomed with open arms. Lastly, before we finish, we have a song about the Global Andrology Forum. And this is not something that I have written, but I asked ChatGPT that, can you write a song about the Global Andrology Forum? And what is the slogan that you can give? And so the device, I'm just saying it's a female, but it is not like that. It is gave the slogan as empowering men's health, shaping the future together. Then it generated this song. Now I don't know how to sing a song, so I asked my son last night, can you please compose this song and sing this song? So he was very happy, and he sent me this file at 4 o'clock this morning. So let me see if I can play this song.
This is a song about the Global Andrology Forum, empowering men's health, shaping the future together. Written by ChatGPT, performed by Neil Agarwal. Take 3. Men from all nations gather round with a common goal to be found, improving health and wellness for our fellow man's success. Global Andrology Forum, bringing hope and healing to the world. For every man in every land, together we take a stand. Experts from near and far share their knowledge without a bar, advancing science every day, making life better in every way. Global Andrology Forum, bringing hope and healing to the world. For every man in every land, together we take a stand. Let's work together side by side with compassion, love and pride. For the future, let us strive, make a difference, come alive. Global Andrology Forum, bringing hope and healing to the world. For every man in every land, together we take a stand. For every man, we'll find a cure with knowledge, strength and love secure. Global Andrology Forum, for every man, for everyone.